I don't know every single symbol myself, but they're primarily the world's major religions. I've received a lot of compliments on this flag, and many people have asked me where I can get one.
I would imagine that anybody that would compliment me on this flag is probably a pedophile.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm looking for a photograph of
Oh, is
anime
that
feet that
what
I can
that
post
fucking
to
is?
What is it?
announce.
I don't know what the wheel is. I don't know what the hand with the eyeball thingy in it is. Oh, okay, yeah, that works. Um, uh,
Yeah. I'm going to show. These ones are the ones that I do not know what they are.
Okay, just find a picture you can use for me.
yeah,
Thank
I
you.
gotcha. There you go.
I
And I'm gonna
decided
I'm
to
gonna
try
add
to
a
experiment. There you go.
Janelle. What's your moniker? What do you want to be referred to as tonight?
Whatever. I guess just Leatherface since it's on my thing.
Okay.
These look like just vague sigils from like Stellaris, right?
Yeah.
Ellie, do you know these? What the fuck are these?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention it. We're live. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mother Base.
Hey, hi, it's me, everyone's most cosmopolitan mother-based host, Dogstar.
What does cosmopolitan mean? Is it like
Does that mean
like the
pedophile?
drink?
No, it does. It also does not mean that I'm a pedophile. It means that I am, I'm urbane. Yeah,
Probably.
Pedophile?
yeah. No, hey, cut it out. I'm not a pedophile.
What does urbane mean? Does that mean that you like
Black.
Timberland boots and baggy
No,
pants?
I cut you to your own punchline.
Would I want you to date my daughter,
No.
my beautiful innocent daughter,
Do you want her to get pregnant?
Lawlet Snake Jr.?
Well, St. Jude.
Welcome back to another Pulse Pounding episode. Wow, why is my mouth doing that? Hold on a second. Welcome to another Pulse Pounding episode of the Mother Base stream. We're taking a look back at our very first episode as we approach 1 year on the air.
1 year on the spectrum, baby.
1 year on the spectrum.
And it's been a crazy year and a rough year in some ways. We've got 2 active community guideline strikes. Managed to survive a whole year without getting permabanned.
Yeah.
So, but today we've got a couple guests on the show. We've got Leatherface. Leatherface, you want to say hi?
Hi, resident expert,
Christian, resident Christorian. And
That's better.
and we've
Okay.
Yeah, we got Allison, a sort of
Alison Bechdel, inventor of the Bechdel test, a test that every episode of Mother Based has proudly failed.
Yeah.
We have, I don't know, me and Masato talk about all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, I think we had an episode where we just talked. Oh, whoa. Okay, my wife.
Maybe that's better. All right. I think. This is also bad. Now I have like the pervy frog girl face. Maybe I'll just turn expression detection off.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out all of these symbols on
all right.
This coexist flag. The human is humanism.
Really?
Dorky, yeah.
Wow.
Wow. That's
what?
Just cringe.
Pathetic.
What's the wheel?
Buddhism, actually, which I thought, that makes sense when I saw it.
Also, credit where credit's due, they at least didn't put the O9A symbol on there.
Oh God, yeah. Damn. Yeah, dodge that
Or a
red flag.
swastika. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very small comfort, granted, but still.
I believe the Japanese style gate is Shintoism, which
Yes.
I don't actually think there are that many practitioners of. Sound off in the comment sectio if you are practicing Shintoist.
I'm trying to figure out what the wheel with 4 spokes is. The one that is like a waning moon, a full, or a waxing moon, a full moon, and a waning moon, and the like bird.
I think the bird is something Egyptian.
Which bird?
Top top right hand
Top
corner.
right. That's a Farivar. That is Zoroastrianism.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool. Nice. I used to have a Zoroastrian car. A Mazda.
What? Why did it keep
Amongst
catching
us?
fire? Ha, heyo.
No, so the deity of or sort of like the creation deity of Zoroastrianism is Mazda, and I guess like
Oh,
someone
Mazda.
just kind of like thought that that was a cool word and decided to name a very shitty sedan after it.
BC face is not working anymore.
See if wonder is there? I'm looking to see what the symbol is for being a Yazidi. Oh, it's just wow. The symbol on Wikipedia for the Yazidi faith is very similar to shit. What is that other fucking religion? There's too many. There's like way too many religions. I gotta remember this other one. It's, Mithraism. Yeah, the Yazidism is very similar to Mithraism as far as logos go.
Seem to be something Wicca related, but it seems to also be an extremely, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be a particularly well-known Wiccan symbol.
Huh. Wasn't the guy that created Wicca a pedophile?
Probably.
Nice.
Well, maybe this is
20th century
Dianic
Britain,
Wicca?
What do you think?
Yeah, right? One of those good Nazi pedophiles.
Yeah.
Okay. What am I missing? The one that's like a shield, kind of. Yeah, they got some deep cuts on here.
Yep.
Oh, wait. What the fuck? Oh, here we go. Holy shit. I think
I'm back.
Now, this is a list. Oh, wow. This is actually a fascinating fucking list.
What you got?
Throw this up. This is the 66 religious symbols the Veterans Association will put on tombstones.
Wow. Okay, why do I have to do it? Can you do it?
Me? Okay.
Wait, I got it. Hold on. Misato, get rid of your Wikipedia page thing.
Get rid of
Yeah,
my
we've got
self-inflicted
something more
taint
important
wound.
than what we're going to talk about.
Oh wait, I'm in front of you. Never mind. I can do it.
I did it. Oh, oops. Oops.
Are you doing it, or should I put it out?
Hold on one second.
Who's got the browser source?
I'm working on it. Sorry,
This motherfucker got a browser source open.
There we go.
Okay, so the
nice.
VA will put these will let you choose any of these symbols for your tombstone.
Is any of them your forger's feet?
Some of these are so.
Wow, you beg me, you ask me, you beg me to
So we got
put my avatar up, and then you just block my head, even though I got rid of my background. That's so sad.
All right, there you go. Is that better?
Thank you. Yeah, that's much better. Why is it still showing my menu settings?
Oh, that's me.
Mjolnir now.
I thought I had mine open. Okay.
Wait, this is not 66. Where's the fucking whole list?
There's a. Let's see here. Ooh, let's look at 4 strange weapons of the Vietnam War next.
What is that gonna be like? Look at this we were using this wacky shit called Agent Orange.
I mean, it could be those Davy Crockett nuclear missile launchers.
Yeah, but
Those are pretty
we use
wacky.
those.
So yeah,
We just developed
Buddhist,
them.
Unitarian, Baha'is, not real. Baha'i is basically like I don't know, all of the bad fan fictions where like Helga Pataki from Hey Arnold meets Rorschach, but like as a belief system.
Nice.
Okay, here's
Wow,
the
atheist looks really stupid. Did you find
Is
the?
atheist the atomic logo?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I sent you the whole list.
That's
You
so
can
wait,
have one that is just a German Shepherd with a flag.
Does that mean that if you get buried, like you get killed at war, and like you go to atheist heaven, you get a atomic symbol over your grave in Arlington Cemetery? Is that like it's not a cross headstone, or is it a cross headstone with like a little atomic sign on it? Because that would be pretty funny.
I think it's just it's like a little atomic sign. That's a really gay symbol.
I actually love the idea that you get buried and you're like, oh, I'm an atheist, and like they're like, yeah, we'll put the atomic symbol on the cross that's over your grave.
Yeah.
And you'll be right next to like the Jewish guy with a little Star of David on the cross over his grave. Or whatever.
Seiichi no Lei gives off slight swastika vibes.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't know what that is.
Damn, that little human guy is so embarrassing.
This sounds bad. It's a syncretic monotheistic new thought Japanese new religion that has spread since the end of World War II. That sounds
that's
bad.
very sus. Yeah.
Wait, what's that one that looks like an eagle? That looks kind of runic next to the Star of David.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
That's Pharaohar. I think that's Zoroastrian adjacent.
Yeah, that's what Allison said.
I don't know what the Kohen hands are. Apparently, you can just have a dream catcher on your tombstone if you're like a white guy who owns a shirt that has wolves all over it. You can get
you can just have a hammer of Thor.
Yeah,
That's
if you're
cool.
a Nazi. Shintoism, Messianic is what the.
All right, that cross looking kind of sus.
Which one? This one?
One at the far right, the one under the Shinto like shrine symbol.
Oh, this one, yeah. Oh, that's the Maltese cross. That's very sus.
And then number 70 is what you get if you die as a white woman at war.
Ayo.
Ayo. I'll be her. What the fuck is Kingian faith?
Where's that? Which one's that? Number
78. Oh, Dr. Martin Luther King?
Oh.
King's philosophy?
It's cool that you can it's cool that you can just get like generic ones like praying hands in a Bible. Like they should just get like all of like the bad like tattoo flash things approved. So
yeah, they should have like
if you're like a Marine,
like a welder.
Yeah.
Mom heart.
Yeah, like a Sailor Jerry bikini girl or something.
An anchor.
Yeah, or like a crying clown holding a gun to his head.
Airplane enthusiast. Crying.
Yeah, Bart
Jared
Simpson
Leto.
with like a huge erection.
Yeah.
Calvin pissing on a Chevy sign.
Yeah. I would love that is like the only thing that has like remotely made me want to join the armed forces is getting buried in like a federal like army fucking cemetery with Calvin pissing on the Chevy logo.
Yeah, that'd be pretty base. You get like a flyover.
Yeah.
You get a Navy chaplain to say like, "Don't have a cowman."
Yeah. They do like a fart sound version of tabs while they fold the flag up.
Yeah. Ask if they could just put Seymour Butts on your on your tombstone.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah, we should do some Mother Base merch where it's Calvin pissing on the Mother Base logo.
Oh, I think I might have that somewhere. Also, I don't know anything about Druze except that I used to work with a Palestinian guy And apparently, Druze are sort of like nomadic people living in northern occupied Palestine. And apparently, he did not have a lot of nice things to say about the Druze people because he feels like they kind of like sold themselves out to Israel. But I do not know anything else about them besides that, except that there's like a decent Druze restaurant in Hell's Kitchen.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Wow, look
think
at how
that's
gay the Polish National Catholic Church logo is. It's like bad clip art.
which one is it?
67.
I can't see. My computer can't manage this resolution.
It's
I'll be
right.
right back. We have so many people. Did Ayyy and Janelle introduce or Leatherface?
Yes, yeah. I was gonna say we should talk
Janelle
about
couldn't make it to this episode, so we have Leatherface instead.
we should talk about talk about Chris Chan
Yeah.
a little bit.
What we talk about when we talk about Chris Chan.
Yeah, I like your hoodie a lot. Your Chris Chan hoodie's really good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
That's a Sonichu hoodie.
Yeah, well, the
Hey,
Sonic
Chris.
hoodie. Well, yeah, Chris Chan fashion inspired Sonic
Be right
hoodie.
back. I'm gonna grab some coffee for this.
Yeah. So yeah, Leatherface, do you want to give us some updates on what the sort of latest developments are in the Chris saga?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I came on last year when everything was like going down and it was also fresh and chaotic. And there was just so much. And then, like, the last year has just been like so dull and droll, right? It's like nothing has happened. It's just continuance after continuance. And there was, she sent a lot of letters from jail and stuff, just kind of typical Christine ramblings, claiming to be Jesus and stuff like that. But it kind of, I guess why we're here and talking about this was on the 28th was their latest hearing, July 28th, and a lot of speculation started coming in the community that they were going to be released because up until that date they were only charged with the misdemeanor incest, which has a maximum a sentence of 1 year, and then as of that date or close to that date they would have already been in jail for a year, and legally you can't keep someone in jail for longer than the sentence, even if they're convicted or not, whatever. So everyone was basically like, yeah, they're gonna get released
Yeah.
unless they, something crazy goes down, blah blah. So we were all kind of waiting, and then that day on the hearing, they decided to upgrade it to the felony incest. So that carries a 10-year maximum sentence. So that's kind of where we're at, and they have they're gonna do a grand jury hearing, which I guess is different than like a trial. That's kind of where they present the evidence, and then everyone kind of comes together to decide if they're gonna move forward with the felony. But I guess considering that they've sat on, not charging with the felony for a year, that they were gathering the evidence the whole time to see if they can actually, convict for the felony. And so people were, I don't know anything about law that much, but people are saying grand jury hearings are mostly a formality and that they usually don't go to grand jury unless they're certain that it's going to go to trial. So tomorrow we'll have more of an idea of whether or not it's going to go to trial, but it likely will. So we'll see tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the latest update on where we're at. I'm excited for tomorrow.
So, what do you think the motivation was for doing? Do you think it's just one of those things where, like, the whatever, like, uh, uh, what's it called? The guys who are doing the prosecutors, like, prosecution was, like, just like, all right, we want to fuck everyone in the ass as much as possible, or do you think they were like looking at the files and were like, oh my god, like Chris Chan needs to be like behind bars for at least 10 years?
I know it's interesting to think about how much they know as far as like lore goes. I'm sure they haven't sat there and watched all 65 episodes of
There's nothing funnier to me than to imagine like being a lawyer and like getting paid like or like having to pay like your paralegals like $300 an hour or something like at your law firm to like watch Gino's documentary.
Yeah, exactly. So I know for sure that they have the audio recording, right? That's enough to charge something, but that's not physical evidence. So
Right.
I and obviously I don't know, and obviously I'm not a lawyer or anything.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
art school, but
I anal. I anal. I am not a lawyer. I anal.
exactly, I anal. But what a lot of people are saying, and as far as what I can gather is that Barb must have they probably did a rape kit, right?
Oh
They
no.
probably I mean to charge because they did a whole year without charging the felony, so they must have there must be some sort of physical evidence apart from just the ramblings of like an autistic person saying, "Yeah, I fuck my mom once every 3 days," or make love to or whatever. So I'm assuming they did some sort of rape kit or have some sort of more physical evidence. Also, in the various letters that Chris has sent, he has sort of admitted to making love, doing the spiritual journey, or whatever kind of weird verbiage he put on it. So I'm sure that they can use his sort of own admission in as part of that too. Like he hasn't up until his most recent letter, or I think there was one point where he denied it. Also, there was a period of time in which Chris was moved into a sort of mental facility, and I guess the only reason they sort of do that is to test whether or not someone is capable of standing trial. And they were moved back into jail, which leads people to believe that it was determined that they are capable of going to trial. So that was probably has something to do with the continuances. But it's kind of a shock for the Christian community. Like everyone was expecting them to get out on the 28th.
Yeah, for real. I was also curious, like, what exactly would be, like, if Christian would be considered fit for trial, right?
Yeah,
Seems
and I
not
guess
necessarily obvious.
it's not obvious, but I mean, or they're, I don't know. It's really hard to say. It does seem like it's been confirmed that they're, but Christian, per history is a high functioning, and he's not that
Not
just.
one of the slow. What was it that like they call like people slow minded or what's the
Oh yeah,
euphemism?
yeah. Okay, I can't remember how she would differentiate herself from people of lesser, but
Lesser
yeah,
autism ranks.
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I just threw up like a recent Stone Toss comic about this whole thing. Great minds.
uh, the Chan community is lucky to have so many random people invested in their story that there is a lot of people who are actually lawyers and people who work in law that have put up a lot of good perspectives. So which I'm kind of just secondhand,
Right.
regurgitating. But we're lucky to have really nuanced and pragmatic
There
views
we go.
about this. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
No, I
think
mean I anal as well. In fact, all of us anal. So
yeah. And just as far as like a prosecution goes, like the it's their concern is winning a case, right? So they'd rather would have got her on something rather than nothing. And if they don't think that they can follow through with rape, which everyone was so shocked, why is it just a misdemeanor or whatever? But if they're not going to be able to do like a maximum life sentence for rape, they're going to do something lesser. They're not going to put up a case that isn't winnable. They're going to do a lesser case that isn't like
right,
winnable, or so that's kind of like more of a perspective of prosecution, because a lot of people are like so confused, but
right, yeah. And I mean,
um
I think it's like interesting to me, like I guess also because I remember you were telling me before the show that it was the defense that was actually doing the continuances because, and I guess you said this, but it's because they wanted to like basically run down the clock, right? And like I guess, but like that was a little bit
mhm.
confusing to me. I guess they figured that the prosecution would just be like, look, whatever, it's been a year, like fine.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean that's kind of what people are assuming. I mean we haven't interviewed
right,
them, but that's what people were assuming, like continuing to do the continuances or whatever. And it's a small town. It's not like this is like a federal case, I don't think. It's like it's these people don't want to deal with this like weird case or whatever. And when it comes to sex and rape and incest, I mean, historically, people just want to get this shit in and out, close the books, whatever.
Oh.
The
Yeah, they
courts
do.
are back
Yeah,
and
they
back
do.
up.
I'll say, right, folks? Hey.
Heyo.
God.
But it did seem that was sort of the strategy until now. I mean, Chris being in prison for the next 10 years is kind of insane, and
Yeah.
selfishly a little sad for Christorians, but
Yeah, for Christorians, it's a nightmare. I really wonder. Like, I mean, obviously, it seems like Chris was always a huge like attention whore, and so I just assumed that like lots of people in like her town knew about like her shenanigans, but at the same time, I just like wonder if there was just like this moment in that town where everyone was like, "Hey, we're on the national news," and like everyone like logged on and started googling Chris Chan, and just realizing that their town in Virginia is now known for this.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, even
or it
like
has been known for a decade.
I feel like that particular point of no return was when Chris Chan maced the GameStop employee.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. But even like being Barbara Chandler, it's like this is your legacy. This is what people are going to know you from when you die. When you move forward in life, like it's really bleak to think about.
Well, he also has like a brother too, right? That's like vaguely normal and is like he's like a dental technician or something.
I know they have weird half. Oh, I think maybe they have some half from Bob's side. I'm not really sure about how many or whatever, but I know that the majority of their family doesn't really like them.
Yeah.
And I've been a little curious as to what's the state of Barbara, because their family doesn't like them, has never really given them money and supported them, but I'm assuming she's with someone right now, being taken care of.
Yeah, it's this guy named Cole Smithy. He looks like the kind of guy who hosts like a YouTube channel that does reviews of like movies based off of children's toys. But like slightly more like reputable than like Chris Chan.
Oh, the half brother or the brother?
The half brother, yeah. Let's get rid of this stone house.
I do remember there being a little bit of back and forth, letters being sent and public outcries and stuff like that.
Yeah,
trying
this
to get
guy.
money from him. Yeah, he has the fedora.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Fedora guy.
Oh man, imagine that's your brother.
Yeah.
Or like Chris is your brother. This poor guy.
Yeah, his mother is Barbara Chandler.
Gotcha.
Okay, so yeah.
Here's an iconic. Oh yeah, the quote. Let me know when that fuck Bob finally drops.
Cole currently lives in Manhattan and is a film critic who is featured on Rotten Tomatoes. He was once mentioned in Time magazine for being one of the few critics to give a negative review to Toy Story 3, resulting in many Pixar fans crying out in disgust that a movie franchise that looked to be the only one with a purely 100% rating on RT Russian Times was ruined by him and Armand White. Several years later, in an interview with Arthur Spatchcock, Chris stated that he disagreed with his brother's review even though he had seen the film.
Nice.
Damn.
Yeah.
Finally, someone who is not just absolute Disney cocksucker.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
True patrician. Could you maybe just possibly, after like making fun of me for like 10 episodes for not having an avatar, put my avatar ahead of the content? Thank you.
Sorry, I just have you. I never.
My computer is crying and screaming, saying, "Please, I can't handle this."
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna put you in front of Dogstar. Not that it matters.
What the fuck?
Now Dogstar is down with Tanner at the bottom of the
of the pecking order.
Of the pecking order.
Yeah, I do love the image. The Leatherface image is a really good one. I wish we could animate that somehow.
Yeah, like a gif of the
Like-
scene.
Yeah.
Flame. Yeah, I wonder if Barb's with Cole in Manhattan being taken care of.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh,
Yeah, and Chris is, right after everything went down on the 28th, they sent another this guy Kenneth Engelhart, which is kind of like a
Like
it
young
has a,
novel kind of character.
I think it says the current owner of Onion Farms, just kind of like a internet person. Has a lot of letters, and it is actually one of the people that writes Chris a lot. So the most recent letter we have from Chris, which is the day after Christine rather, the day after their trial, talks about wanting to get back into the home and needing Barb not to be there, and kind of relaying a bit of like resentment towards Barb, saying stuff about how she only married Bob for money, and I don't know, kind
damn.
of a weird letter.
Damn, what's the deal?
Yeah,
I
I
thought
think
this was what was the nature of their relationship? Because I thought Christine was quite enamored with Barb.
yeah, it
Like
went from like
soulmate stuff.
soul bonding to hey, I'm staring down 10 years in prison. Maybe I kind of regret what I did. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be the most likely thing, I think.
I
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, there's definitely like a long story of like Chris like basically just blaming stuff that blows up in like their face on like other people. So I would definitely expect that to be like projection.
Sure, of
You
course.
stupid slut.
Yeah, how could you you damn temptress? Now
You
I'm in
temptress.
jail.
And now I'm in jail. Yeah. Hey, it
um,
happens to the best of us.
um, yeah, I don't know. I wonder what's gonna happen. I feel like if they have the rape kit, if they have his semen inside of her or her semen inside of her, I'm sorry.
Thank
Then
you. Thank you.
I'm trying my best. It's very hard, and I do respect Christine as a trans woman, but it's just when you've just consumed so much, and it's like 75% of their story is under like him as Chris, and then
Yeah.
so it does cause like mental confusion. But just for the record, I do
Yeah.
respect their transition. But
Better than I've done.
Yeah, I can be good with that.
Looking through
Yeah.
more of Cole's page on Chanarchy.com. Sorry, I just wanted to put this in here. There's a section titled "Offering Cole's Stuff for Sale." Chris began offering pieces of Cole's belongings for sale via eBay in March 2018.
Based
What's the name
Cole.
of offering this stuff for sale?
Offering Cole's stuff for sale.
But who is?
Christine Weston Chandler is. She's selling her brother's stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Publicly on eBay. There's
Okay.
that, and that actually has its own page.
I thought I heard a different familiar name, but all right, good.
Yeah, those last few years, were like watching the Geno series, like the last of just like video after video of just like, we need money, buy my stuff, we need money. It was just like he's like shoving a video in Barb's face, say we need money, and she's like, buy, please buy our eBay. It's like pretty sad. It's like ugh.
So what do we know anything about like I guess Barb's like mental state, like whether she's like cogent at all at this point, or like last year, whether they're like was it possible at all to interrogate her, or is she like old and senile? I mean, I assume it must be the latter because it seems like they could have done some interrogation or something, right?
I think that the issue with the prosecution was that she never was like legally in Chris's, like a guardian or anything like that. She was never legally like declared. She was still driving, So there was it kind of did seem like it would have been hard for them, like even at the day of the arrest or whatever, she might have been clearly, senile or whatever, but it's hard to prove without medical history that at the time of the incident, she wasn't without, you know,
Right.
I mean, she could barely afford to get her teeth done. So, but when you watch the videos that are still up on his Instagram and YouTube, it's clear that she's, you know, just an aging,
Yeah, she's old.
yeah. She's just getting, it's not like she was like insane, senile, need to be like walking away from home in the middle of the night, but like,
Right,
you know,
right.
she's just getting old and, old enough to like not really know where she's at, maybe understand what year it is, but
Yeah.
Right, right. That makes sense.
Just to like not really be there for the most part.
yeah, need people to help you out and take care of you and stuff like that. But I do recall there being instances of her driving to pick up cat food and stuff like that in the more recent years, as recent as like 2019. So, um, but you know, who knows
Yeah.
now? Some of the stuff from the audio of like of him you know, kind of describing how she would like kind of murmur like no stop, you know, or whatever
Jesus.
during these instances or whatever.
Wait, that sounds horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it? Um so it kind of leads me to believe that she's kind of like sleepy, you know, not really sure what's going on, kind of half gets it, half does it, you know, in and out of consciousness in a weird way. But I think that was probably an issue for prosecution.
No, it makes sense. It's like she's not with it enough to like testify, but also too with it to like just be like, look, you like took advantage of someone who's incapacitated or whatever.
Sure, and with no medical history saying this, you know, this woman
Right.
has stage 1 dementia or whatever.
Right,
Right. Kind of was hard, but yeah, going back to the people in that town, like, is, you know, the whole day on the 28th when they went into court or whatever, I was just like refreshing Twitter and all day and Reddit and shit, and these, I think of like the clerk lady who's the one who like answers the phone, and then they were like calling all day until finally someone was like, I just called, and they finally said that it's going to grand jury. But just thinking of like these small town people who are like, what is this? Like, why am I getting call after call or whatever, you know?
Damn.
It's oh god.
My main question is, how long do you think it will take for SVU to make an episode based off of this?
I was just gonna say I really want to see like the cop show like version of this where like Ice-T is like we got calls coming in all day from like people calling themselves Christorians.
Oh man, John C. Riley playing Christine.
Oh yeah, I think
I give it
Okay.
5 years max.
Damn, that long?
Yeah, I maybe see.
I feel like it's
I'm
gonna get a Netflix special unless they like literally go out of business because of their fucking overinflated stock or whatever next year.
You know what it drives me insane is that there's still not a Wikipedia for Chris Chan, and they've kind of tried to like a Wikipedia entry, and they've tried to, and I think Wikipedia's expressed kind of like a weird non-interest in internet characters or whatever, like influencers and stuff like that. But
Right.
there is room for this. I mean, yeah, I would love to see. I mean, we have like 5 Woodstock documentaries coming out. It's like, come on, let's do like a Christian, or we have like those those Mormon ones and shit coming out.
I honestly, I like Gino's. I was rewatching some episodes today, and like I really feel like Gino's documentary is just so much better than like most of the tripe that comes out with like $10 million budgets on these streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope they just buy him out and like just give him
Yeah.
a reward for like that incredible amount of work that went into that.
It's also, oh sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's just an incredible piece of documentation that is actual real work and is interesting. So he deserves it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it's also like the only like contemporary like documentary that like doesn't feel like it could be like just like a movie. Because I was thinking about like the QAnon series from like a couple years ago or earlier today, and also like that got me thinking about like Tiger King. And it seems like there's this like weird thing where I guess now to like maximize people's like you know, like the attention economy or whatever, like even like that latest Adam Curtis is like a multi-part thing. Like you can't just make like a fucking 90-minute documentary anymore. And like all those
Yeah, I mean,
things
TF,
could have been
yeah,
like cut
right.
down into like 90 minutes. Like there's no reason why like Can't Get You Out of My Head or the QAnon doc couldn't have just been like an hour and a half. But like the Geno series is actually like worth watching all of and is like not and doesn't just like descend into being about like the author's journey or some other
Mhm.
like bullshit.
Postmodern bullshit. It is so dense.
Yeah.
It is,
Mhm.
and it's like a remarkably dense piece of work, which is like still ongoing. And it's like, I mean, it's like our version of. I know some might say that my struggle would be this, but it's like a la recherche temps perdu, but like in like the internet age, and like
Yeah.
like Nosgard, that's whatever. But this is the real like this is a real like winding road
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
contemporary art.
I think like the other thing too, as far as it goes, is that as far as like whether it's even a possibility for like others to do stuff like this, it's like Chris Chan is like one of, if not the most documented people on
Oh
the
yeah,
entire
totally.
internet. Like there are probably more documented people, but you'd be able to count them on like one hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the "we live in public" thing was like maybe like a rare like as far as like raw information levels like
Mhm.
kind of things, and that's just because that was like a literal personal project or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, like also as far as like attention, like Chris Chan, I feel like is like way more famous.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
And I think like the various sagas or whatever that they've gone through are many of them are very important, and there's nothing that you can really like skip over. So they're in like as far as their personal growth and what they've and how they have arrived to where they are now. It's kind of it would be hard to really condense a lot of this stuff and cut and make like edits and kind of
Yeah.
cut it down too much.
Totally.
yeah, it's something that actually like is, and I think this is kind of this is actually not unique. I think. Sorry, I finally. Hello to all our chatters. I couldn't get chat working earlier because my computer's struggling to run the avatar.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Tuko Aozaki.
Um, but no, it's like what was I going to say? I think it's pretty typical, right, of like internet stuff to have like such a like extremely complicated like set of like internal like symbols and like lore and stuff that like
Mhm.
it's really hard to explain what a like certain type of meme or internet phenomenon is without having something like Gino's body of work. And I
Yeah.
think that's why
Mhm.
it's like an actual piece of scholarship and art, because it's actually totally necessary to like even begin to approach like fully understanding this. And it's so comprehensive that you actually can like watch it and be like, wow, I
Yeah.
feel like I really like get a lot of this. Obviously you could never cover all of it because there's so many people involved, but like I mean
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It's literally like how there are like like 300-page books detailing like 10 days of like the American Civil War or something like that.
Mhm.
Right.
That's like this is like the
Yeah.
modern version of like how like there are like like 20 or 30 volume works that are just about like what Ulysses S. Grant did uh, from like 1962 to 1960 or 1862 to 1865. Um, Around the time that like Christine got arrested last year, I was really into this show called Banshee, which is just sort of like a really like retarded like cop show about like cops in like central Pennsylvania in this small town. And I thought at the time that that would be like a good way to conceptualize Chris Chan in like a fictional format, where like he's like in the first couple seasons he's just like a background character that like is just like the town weirdo, and every once in a while like he like interacts with like the main cop characters. And then like all of a sudden in like one episode in like season 3, it's like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like the autistic kid in town maced somebody that worked at GameStop. What the fuck? And then like the sort of like series finale of the show would be like, Jesus Christ, he raped his mom. And it just blows up and ends up just this like minor character just ends up becoming sort of like the central part of like the end of the show.
Yeah.
there's supposed to be a new letter to be released like any minute by that
Whoa.
Kenneth guy, but I keep refreshing his Twitter. And he tweeted 11 hours ago, I'm going to be uploading the latest letter soon. It's like, come on, bitch, let's go.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, Kangal's just gonna take his sweet ass time.
Yeah.
That's just like one of the things you have to accept when you're dealing with Kangal.
Yeah, I don't really know much about him, but I'm on his page, his quickie page right now, and he's 60. He's like a 62-year-old Chris Chan clout shark. That's cool.
I
That
remember
is cool.
A lot of
I think
temerity
that
for
is
someone who's
pretty
60
cool.
years old.
I remember enough about him to know that KF was like obsessed with him for like a good couple years due to the Chris Chan connections and also just kind of, just being Kangal and that sort of played out. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. It'll be so. One thing that people are excited for. This is so like sad, but or just like everything, but is that if it goes to tomorrow after grand jury, and if it gets approved for trial, if they determine they have enough evidence to move forward to a formal trial, that this stuff will become public, like the evidence
Wow.
and what they have,
Oh, wow.
and so the public will be more privy to that information. So that's something that people are kind of excited for, in as excited as you could be for a felony incest case. But I'm excited for it too.
That's
so,
pretty excited in this case.
Wait, what did you mean phony incest case?
Felony.
Oh,
Sorry.
I see.
No.
I see. Okay, that makes more
No,
sense.
I'm not.
Leatherface is just editorializing. A phony, a
Yeah,
slanderous,
the failing phony.
the failing slanderous prosecution, Christian prosecution. Yeah.
I think that someone like this whole jail saga, it's like I have so much sympathy for everything that she's been through, and like but also she just like did a horrible thing, and it kind of
Yeah.
like it really you realize like with I don't know, cancel culture, all this stuff like people need to pay more attention to like nuance and stuff, but there is a line, but it's like Chris kind of rides that line for me, so
Like victim and perpetrator, right?
yeah, it's like some of the stuff that they've been made to do, it makes me feel so sad for them, and
It's like sickening. Yeah.
it's sickening,
Yes,
but
yeah.
but also they have spent their life groping women, and it's like
And like
how
being racist at GameStop and like
yeah, and it's
drawing like vile cartoon porn of their like close friends.
yeah.
That actually rules. If I found out that you were drawing quote vile cartoon porn unquote of me, I think that would delight me.
Well, I think the other aspect though that's like obviously like very interesting to everyone who like to every historian, whether pro level or amateur, is just the aspect of relatability, where it's like obviously like she feeds the trolls and stuff, and that part's not really her fault. She doesn't like have the capability, I guess, to figure out I should just log off, etc. And that's why you feel bad for her. But it's like all of us do embarrassing stuff, think embarrassing stupid thoughts. We just don't put it out there publicly enough, and like don't have that drive to do it at that level, and like without trying to sort of anonymize ourselves a bit. And so I think there's something there, but for the grace of God go I think I said that already last time we talked about it, but it's like it is really crazy when you see stuff and you're like, God, I mean, like like yeah, like she was getting grilled for doing this stuff at like 20, but like I was looking at my old posts on like halomods.com when I got banned for like flaming, the website for like modding the game Halo back in the day, and I was like, these are really embarrassing and really funny to me, but like I'm glad they didn't blow up or whatever.
Yeah.
You just accumulate stuff like that, and like she just has put so much more of that out, but so much of it is because she was goaded on, and it's like
yeah,
it's like I think it's so attention grabbing and like sucks you in so much, partly because it's like a lot of the stuff really is just like a more extreme or like more, or not even necessarily always more extreme, but more public version of like just how embarrassing
More
it can be to
prolific.
life be that
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
prolific. But like, you know, it's like everyone has like especially when you're adolescent, like, but like, you
Yeah.
know, even just throughout your life, you just have so many embarrassing things that you're so glad that people can't like get into your brain, and like she just can't not put what's in her brain out there. And so
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
to see it, and it's like fascinating to us because it's like, holy shit, someone's actually like saying not necessarily these specific things that are embarrassing that I think, but like is just being unbelievably like self-incriminating online.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like just equivalent, some
Like, which
sort of
any of us could do to some
embarrassing
extent if we just
equivalence.
were that, if we had no filter at all, any of us could like you know, even like ignoring like the stuff like the actual like, you know, like or like, you know, whatever, like the Barbara like incident, like I mean,
Mhm.
obviously like part of it is she takes everything to like an extra level, like, you know, I think even most actual racists would be smart enough to not be banned from GameStop for being racist, but like you know, just yeah, like if I had no filter, like I would have some similar like body of embarrassing work, you know, if everything was
Sure.
like collected about
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for the longest time, I had fairly close to no filter, and I have a pretty substantial body of very embarrassing, incriminating stuff that I'm very glad that, like, practically nobody really cares about outside of certain small sub-communities. But
Yeah.
it's just like, you know, once you get to that point, it's like, you know, like, what do you do? You're already, like, deep enough in that, in some sense, you know, you don't really have anything to, like, lose from just continuing to be, like, you know, as you are.
Yeah.
And then that sort of like you know, sort of like delusional mindset persists up to the exact moment where it no longer can, and I think you saw that play out to completion in terms of the whole Barbara case.
Not even, I mean, like, even their most recent letter, Chris wrote on the very top, "Do not upload this online, please." It's like, dude, you're still being this trusting. Like, people leaked audio you admitting you had raped your mom, and you're still thinking they're not going to upload these letters you're sending from jail.
Exactly. It's like,
yeah.
it's like, what would happen if you were like, it's like, what would happen if I could not evaluate like who would share my like innermost thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
And like everyone just had access to that. So and of course like the like irony of that is that like that fascination, I think again, I think the, you know, like relating to that, like how embarrassing a person can be thing, because obviously also, I mean, like the other thing not only is like, and this is obvious from how despicable a lot of the things that like, you know, the trolls do, they're despicable people, they're like also horrible people who are like autistic and weirdly obsessed with like they don't have anything better to do, and like if anything a lot of them are doing things which are like at
Yeah,
least just like from the interactions they have with Chris, I would say they seem like a even worse person, even like more
Mhm.
sociopathic, or not
absolutely.
sociopathic, that's an
Yeah.
extreme word, but like even more like fucked up person and like harmful person
I
than
mean,
Chris.
wasn't one of them even like egging on
Mhm.
Barbara stuff while
I
it was
think
like still
multiple
going
were.
on?
Yeah, I think
Ugh.
multiple.
Well, I mean, I thought like a point of contention. I don't know if this is still true, but like, wasn't there like a theory that like someone basically like psyoped like Chris
Inception, the idea.
yeah, like psyoped Chris into like fucking his mom in the first place?
Yeah, that was Isabella Janke.
That
There's
was
a
yeah.
there's a good YouTube video that kind of like has, it's like a 20-minute gathering of all of the evidence on her, and she's like, is psychotic.
Yeah, she's the hot one, right? The one
She's
next to
She's
well, yeah.
she falls into the
4chan phenotype.
Definitely,
yeah,
she's got
femcel
some
phenotype.
milkers.
Yeah.
And but no, she's like boiled hamsters. She's insane, and she kind of orchestrated a lot of all of that.
She's someone who actually probably should be sent to Guantanamo Bay, which I would
Yeah.
not say about Chris.
No,
And I think that's
actually,
probably-
Misato, knowing how things usually go, she would be given a job at Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at Langley, more likely.
That's
But
true.
yeah.
She'd be. Well, isn't her dad Deep State? I remember researching.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
glowy. Yeah.
Yeah, she's glowy. So yeah,
Oh,
stem cell phenotype. We love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
of
God,
course.
God
You got
forgive me
Saul
for
Pie.
jerking
Yeah.
off.
Beautiful.
Lindsay Savannah.
I feel like
Come on,
the
Mother Base.
reptilian part of my brain be deeply attracted to these femmes.
Damn, this is.
Yeah, it looks like her dad was a former Navy SEAL.
Right. Then he
And
was
Data Tribe collaborator, and her mother was a pilot.
Wow. Okay,
So
yeah,
based.
that's a bad sign.
Yeah, so she actually, I take back what I said. 'Cause she actually probably would get sent to Guantanamo and fell off the guard tower. You know, like, hey, don't make jokes about concentration camps, kind of thing. Like, no, like, yeah, literally, yeah. So I feel like that's kind of, yeah. I mean, but I mean, I think a lot of people are just kind of casually like Christorians or whatever. It's like we all sort of increase the attention, which detrimentally is like brought on her, but like
Sure.
it's because it's like so relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In addition to like the weird line that like she walks with being both victim and like also like a not necessarily in a way that's like her fault kind of way, but is a genuine fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's more just like typical autism, though. I think.
Yeah. And that's what I
Um,
mean. It's not her fault. I mean, she's like there's like more benign like people who have it in like a more benign way where it's just like they're bad at talking, and with her it's more like I'm racist and like make every woman I ever talk to feel like extremely like extreme regret at having talked to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, not really her fault. So I don't know. I mean, but yeah, it's crazy. So I don't know if Allison, if you want to tell us a little bit more about Bob and the Bob connection, and this is not the Bob that our many hundreds of thousands of viewers are probably thinking of right now.
Well, I'm not. I'm thinking about Jodi Arias. Her beauty.
Sure. So, I guess while a lot of this was like going down, and for like some time before, there was a sort of an internet character who, if anything, is actually about as fascinating as Chris Chan, if not more. Sort of like lolcow adjacent in their own right, but he decided out of his own money and just sort of like I would term it like almost like a pathological altruism on his part.
Yeah.
Decided to first off send fairly substantial amounts of money to Chris Chan on like a recurring basis over the span of a couple years. I don't know the exact dollar figures. I frankly wouldn't even think to ask. But
real quick, someone in Backtrace in chat asks, "Is this Tokiko Bob?"
No,
No,
different Bob.
Different Bob.
I can
Please continue.
I can say plenty about Tokiko Bob too, but that's another story for another day. Anyways,
Bob's in this motherfucker. Please continue. Sorry.
Anyways, so like I said, I don't know the exact dollar figures. He also at various times, I don't know if this actually got through to Chris Chan, but at least around me and around like some others, he always put forward the idea of, okay, what if I can get, Chris Chan to like move in with me to my basement and involve her with like my my life, my projects and stuff. And this isn't like the only person Bob has done this with either. Another internet figure who some of you may know, Terry Davis.
Yeah.
He also put forward an offer, a very similar offer to Terry.
This
And
feels weird because that probably would have kept Terry Davis alive.
yeah, and this was like the very beginning of 2018. And this is one I can actually speak to a bit more because
Wait, is it the Temple OS guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow,
Very
The
same.
origin of the term glower.
Okay.
The
Oh
Quainer.
wait,
Glowing.
really? He invented
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Holy shit! We
Yeah,
should do
okay.
a Temple OS episode at some
We
point.
should really
Okay.
do a Temple OS episode.
But to get to what I was saying, after the offer was like sent, Terry sent a reply, and let me see if I can pull it up on. Let me see if I can pull it up on
Oh, are
Telegram.
you about to be? I feel like we're about to hear the first actual N-word on.
No,
Mother-
you don't have to worry about that at least.
Okay.
That's not said by a Chinese Google Translate voice.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot I did that. That's a good bit. I should do that more often.
I will take this moment to. I'll post a link in the chat. Here's the link to Shrine, a updated version of Temple OS that I believe people have successfully connected to Discord with.
Whoa! I wonder if we can run
Wow.
VC Face and do the
Okay.
entire stream from Temple OS.
Let me see. Okay, here's what it was. After like Bob said the stuff, it was like, from Terry, I don't want to be your homo slave. I am starting a military revolution leading the hard life of a soldier.
Yo.
Wow.
And that is just the single most. Those words have haunted me for like 4 years at this point.
Wish I
Just
could've-
knowing them and like the meaning and all of that.
How soon after that did Terry pass?
Like within half a year.
Yeah.
Damn.
It was bad.
R.I.P. Terry Davis. If we do get our portions of your remains, they will be pressed into a diamond that I will wear around my neck in a decorative bolo tie.
R.I.P. Terry Davis, you would have loved Mother
You
Base.
would have loved Mother Base.
To be fair, it does feel like Terry did. Like, I can't understand entirely what Bob's motivation is here, but it does kind of sound like he wanted homo slave.
I would
so many
say
words.
homo slave is exactly what I pictured when you said live in his basement.
Yeah, that always
Or,
has that
quote,
connotation.
various projects, unquote.
For various totally not anal related projects.
I think the other thing too is that he's kind of like a huge like Silicon Valley like head in the clouds type. I think he wanted to do like a startup incubator out of his basement, and like that was just kind of.
It's like My Hero Academia, where you just find people with quirks, but all the quirks are like various types of like psychopathy and autism that make you very online, and like
Yeah.
he's like the All Might.
Yeah, I mean it's like how else? Yeah, I mean it's like how else could he have found me? Well, actually, not quite true.
Yeah, that sounds like someone trying to make like a more fucked up version of like the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
like the X-Men or something.
Yeah, and all of this sort of means that I was within like one like decision of like if either of those two people said yes, I could very well have like lived in like the same place as them.
Wow.
Right.
Were you recruited in a similar way? Or
Okay. I guess to okay. Let me.
You don't have to answer any questions.
You don't have to answer.
I know, but I'm just trying to gather my words for this. What was it? After we started talking, and I sort of just, it's because it's like, here's how I am with Discord people, right? Like, I add them. I do a little cursory like background check, and if they seem like interesting people, like awesome, cool. I'm just gonna like spend a lot of time talking with them, and I guess like a week or two in, Bob said something to me to the effect of, what was it? Hey, wanna come live in my basement? It's a nice basement.
Well, it's been,
Like pretty much
Wait, so
word for word. And
the
you know what I said?
you
Yeah,
said
sure,
yeah.
let's do it.
Let's do it.
wow.
All right, this is the kind of guest I love to bring on. That's awesome.
To be fair, that is how you and I met on Fetty, I think.
Yes.
Um,
That is
but
how a lot of events in my life have happened.
yeah, but I didn't try and make you my homo slave.
I tried to make Dogstar and Lollard my homo slaves, but it didn't work.
Aw.
Yeah, it kind of backfired honestly because you let me host all the episodes. So
Yeah.
this is my basement. Mother Base is my basement.
Yeah, I was like, would you like to come to my basement? It's very comfortable. And then I found myself in Lollard's basement.
Well, the one thing that this reminds me of on like a biographical kind of level is that one time when I was like a high schooler, I visited New York, and the one thing that I was trying to do while I was in New York was try to find somebody who could make me a fake ID. And a friend of my cousin's who lives in New York told me that he knew someone who lived in Chinatown that he thought could help me. And so we met up in Chinatown, and this guy said, yeah, I can make you a fake ID. We just need to head back to my lair. And as soon as he said the word lair, I think I immediately crossed the
Fight or
street.
flight response.
Yeah.
See that's why you don't end up living in Bob's basement, right?
Yeah.
So you faced a fork in the roads in your life, and you took one path.
You
But,
could have had an
yeah.
interesting experience that would have gained you knowledge that no one else is privy to, and instead you backed out like a coward.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I have like another kind of read on it, but that's like a little bit more kind of like wordy. So if you want to save that for later, I could maybe like give that.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to hear more of Allison's basement saga. We've riffed on it too
Yeah.
much already.
So yeah. And the other thing too was like, at the time, he was like, he had this idea of like running, and I swear this is gonna like location dox me, but whatever. He had this idea of like running like a huge like free play arcade with like tons of like Dance Dance Revolution, Pump It Up, just sort of arcade dance games and stuff like that. So he and I swear he bought like a commercial like box truck. He went all over the country picking up those machines. He towards the end of the leg of that journey, he like pulled up at where I was living, my parents. Crashed the night, and then I ended up packing. I believe it was just my phone and like a few other things. Got in the box truck, and then we just like spent like hours in like conversation about like the arcade and like uh the nature of money and like some other stuff while we were just on our way to the proverbial, Bob's basement.
So hold on a second. I know that you are a younger person. Were you a minor when this happened?
No, I was 19, I think,
Okay.
when
We
this
also
happened.
don't have to answer every question we ask.
Yeah, I'm just curious because this is trippy. I know that my parents would not let me do this. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine are kind of like I think they kind of had the idea that I get into so much weird stuff that it's just like,
Can't stop you and you'll figure it out kind of thing.
yeah, or like they kind of like trust me to like
Yeah.
be able to like get
Oh,
myself
yes,
sufficiently out of sticky situations if I
Right.
need to. And like, to be honest, and this is the other thing too, like, you know, I was taking a pretty big gamble, that things
Yeah.
would turn out like not completely pear-shaped, and in all fairness, it actually did fairly well.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we didn't end up seeing completely eye to eye, and I was kicked out of the basement after like 2 months for something, but like on the whole, I feel like the whole situation was actually rather good, relatively speaking, and that like, and the other thing too is like, and I'm just gonna say this just to like kind of counterbalance a bit, you know, for all of his weird quirks and personal eccentricities and stuff IRL, he is actually unironically like one of the nicest people you'll probably ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I came out of it in a much better shape than I did some of my other situations. Because,
Yeah.
like, I've like had exes that I've flown out to, and they tried like pulling knives on me and stuff, and just average, like, the sorts of things that are like qualitatively a lot worse than,
Absolutely.
I'm going to meet with infamous but rarely talked about internet person and live in their basement for like,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
90 days and
I've had
see
similar
how it goes.
experiences where like, I like did like housework for like this old
Yeah.
man who like he like kind of suspiciously was really into like asking me if I would like wear like lacrosse pennies that showed off my tummy while I would like repaint his like roof and stuff like that, and like eventually offered me like money to come in a Tanga egg, which I didn't take, which was stupid because that would have been really easy money.
Yeah.
And it was a really positive experience because he was a great guy and very funny to talk to. And I feel like every time I talk to people about it, people are like, you should have probably like stopped working for him like the first time he offered you money to like come in that egg. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was awesome.
Yeah,
He was a great, nice guy. He was just that was a casual offer, and I said no, and he was fine with it.
Yeah.
You were just in the movie Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I
also worked at like a. Oh, sorry. But just real quick, I also worked at like an antique store in high school where I was just casually asked by my elderly gay boss if it would be okay if he gave me a blowjob at some point during my workday. And he was very like polite about it. Every time I was just like, "No, I'm good," and he was just like, "Okay, well, offers on the table," and I'd be like, "I know." You mention it every day, but thanks for asking.
Yeah, like, to be fair, like, I think, in people's lives, like, that first step of moving out of your parents' house is kind of, in some ways, the hardest one. So if you've, like, fine, you got out of there, right? You're exploring the world, and you are well and truly in the world now.
Yeah.
So you're
And
still looking at it in a positive way.
Yeah, and I think that was actually some of the other like perspective for like why my parents figured, like, hey, let's just let this happen.
Yeah.
And incidentally, yes, this was the first time I was living away from my parents. I spent fairly substantial amounts of time in hotels and stuff, but like actually like living on my own, that was like that was like the first time, and that was definitely a learning experience in like more ways than one.
It also seems like, how did Bob get money? Were people like giving him money for Bob's game?
No. Other job, and that is all I'm going to say.
Okay, fair enough.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not going to reveal his
Yeah,
line of work.
We're not trying
Not
to
so much
disclose-
because I distrust any of you in the call, but because
Yeah.
this is
in
public,
case any of the vultures end up seeing this video and
Yeah.
being like, "Wow, cool new lol cow." You
Yeah.
know, I draw the line. I'm not going to qualitatively like contribute to any of that sort of discourse. Like I will say many things about me and Bob and whatever in a personal capacity, but like
Yeah.
professionally speaking, that's all off limits. That's off the table. I'm not saying anything on that.
Nah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, very legit. Yeah.
I think I agree with that. We definitely don't want to blow up his basement with a bunch of moochers who don't deserve it. Trying to get
Yeah,
information about it, trying to get a spot in the basement. We don't want that. And we
I don't think invitation slots are open for that sort of thing anyway. Like, you know, the opportunity for that sort of things kind of came, kind of passed. You know, it's like
yeah, he's also kind of taken his lessons from that, I guess. Yeah. Now,
at least
Sam,
in some sense, yeah.
I don't want to blow up the the dude who offered me money for the egg. He was a great guy. Had a lot of fun conversations with him. I learned about how you clean out your ass before anal sex. I learned
Didn't
about
he make you wear very tiny little shorts too, or am I making that up?
no, I wore my own tiny shorts, but then he would ask me because he was like, ah man, it's so hot out. Like you're probably gonna be hot in that t-shirt. You want to wear one of these old lacrosse pennies I got sitting around? And I would be like, yeah, sure. And so I'd just be
can
there
you
like
wear this like high school wrestling uniform?
I'd be there just like in just like a yaoi like butt sticking out, like putting bricks into his like patio kind of thing. Like, is this how I put the bricks in? Like butt sticking out, tummy showing, like sweating profusely kind of thing. I'm sure
I've read this.
he sniffed those pennies after. Yeah, literally. It was literally like that. It took me like a month to realize like that he was like into me, and then I was like very flattered because he was very nice about it. I was like, oh, that's like so sweet. Like he was very chill. I really liked him. I would love to hang out with him again, but
let's have him on the show.
I would love to. I do not think he would understand this show, but he was a very nice man. he was horny in a way that I think was very very cute and harmless and extremely just it's so funny. It's so funny to offer your like barely legal laborers lacrosse pennies that show off their tummies while they like do
Yeah, and you are like twink, like Twinkie's twink. So it's just like, oh, I have this twink gutter slave. Let me see what I can get them to wear.
Finesse.
It's a great idea. Yeah. No, I applaud him for it. But he also, he taught me how to redo your brick patio. He taught me how to paint a roof, how to do several other useful kind of household things. So
he taught you how to become a real man or a woman or whichever.
Whatever you please.
Exactly.
He taught you knowledge of the body.
He taught me knowledge of the body. That's right. Yeah.
I'll be right back with saying coffee.
Yeah, he was great. He was great because I don't want to. I guess it doesn't matter too much because I'm not going to reveal anything about his profession. But his name was literally Chad, which I think is really funny. And he was just extremely gruff, which was like part of why it took me so long to like kind of paint a roof because like if you have a kind of brownstone type deal, like you'll paint the roof silver so that it's reflective. Responding to Robert in the chat. Yeah, girl swim uniform, maid outfit. I know it should have been a maid outfit, right?
No, if he was a little bit longer, that's what it would have been.
That's what I like about the lacrosse penny, though, is it's kind of like sneaky. It's like you're like, yeah, I guess this makes sense. It's like there's not a lot of fabric. It's good for staying cool. I was like, oh, that was sneaky afterwards. I was like, that's nice. Very well done. Nah, he was chill though. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted with fond reminiscences of that summer.
No, it's very enjoyable. Really glad to hear all of that. But also, like, I guess questions-wise, does anyone have any? Like,
Yeah,
I'm kind of...
So you said before the show that Bob was like Chris's main benefactor. Like, did Chris like turn down the basement opportunity but accept like a sort of donation sort of thing?
I believe so, yes. I have no idea as to the specifics. I'm not going to, like...
Yeah.
One other, like, directly Chris Chan related thing, because of this, he had sealed autographed copies of every single issue of Sonichu.
Wow.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, now we need his address so we can break into his house and take.
And while I was living with him, he took issue number 1 out of the seal just to show me.
What?
Oh my god.
Like,
Wow.
yeah, it was an experience.
Dang, that's amazing. I really, yeah, I wish I could see those. That's amazing. I feel like those are genuinely going to be worth a lot at some point.
Oh yeah.
Like that's probably like the only like good and like interesting art that's come out in like decades.
Maybe not quite, but something.
I definitely think there's value in like, you know, like the setup of the room and everything with all of her possessions and everything, and I think of how important that the bedroom is as like a cultural artifact. Like I get that it's problematic or whatever to want to preserve something like that, but I wish it could be the case, you know.
Yeah. And on some level it probably should be, just because, you know, it's like it's sort of like have to remember, but also just to like never forget this sort of thing, and also as like a warning to not even just like other people who could maybe like end up like this, but to the people who like, you know, stalk them. It's just this is completely untoward. This is completely out of line. This sort of internet culture that takes in eccentricities and denigrates them instead of celebrating them.
Sure, yeah.
Like the entire MO of, and here's another thing, like, as long as I'm on this note, I am legitimately mad that Kiwi exists. Not just for like the normal reasons, but because, okay, here's the thing, right? It has a premise, right? You know, just sort of keeping track of, and at least ostensibly the premise is, you know, just sort of keeping tabs on, and like, you know,
Null called it like an internet gossip site, right?
And like sort of and sort of like and sort of like cataloging interesting people on the internet. But I feel like at some point that sort of like the motivation for that went from just like, you know, we reached this point in like sort of like the collective like view of the internet, where it's like people will no longer, you know, do this sort of internet voyeurism. I hate to use that word, but like in a pure-hearted way. It's all to put down the person on the other end of the line, and not to appreciate them and what makes them unique, or like just sort of.
I think you can definitely see that in like just like with TikTok being one of the worst sites as far as like bullying goes. Like someone would post some random thing, like TikTok comments are so mean, and like people will go all out, and I do see this kind of becoming worse and worse.
Yeah.
Like I thought Twitter was bad, but TikTok takes it to a whole nother level, and it does kind of has started, you know, with early people like Chris.
Hello.
You muted, Leatherface.
Oh, I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah, I like. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I just wanted to say, especially in like the time of like when I remember Chris Chan starting, right, like early internet stuff. I always thought that there was like a really interesting dichotomy between Chris and U.S.A, right? Where Chris.
Wait, I don't know who that is.
Oh, really?
You can explain afterwards.
Yeah, okay. For our purposes, U.S.A is another deeply autistic internet person who is mostly known as a deeply autistic internet person, right?
Yes.
If you remember the game facts guide for Disgaea 2 that I sent you, that was just written like, oh, I realized that it would take me several years to reach level 99,999. I did not care. He is that person. He had this website that was like all about like his dreams and his fears. Like he cannot read the word people, for example, or say it or look at it. He hates it.
Yes.
Just a lot of stuff like that. But you basically had this like study, right, where Christian was subjected to like endless harassment, and Eulalia was basically just like beloved by people. I don't really know how that ended up happening, but it did.
I feel like I feel like a lot of it was because Eulalia sort of came to the awareness of like the broader internet like a little earlier, and like the first place where they were cataloged was like something awful. So kind of like what ended up happening there was you know, people started keeping tabs on it, you know, hey, who's this person? And like, you know, just sort of, you know, just taking it in. And by the time, you know, people started like because Lilia was like still a minor at the time.
Yeah.
He started producing internet content and like what have you. But like people sort of by the time that like any sort of like substantial like you know, like fandom, I guess, could have formed around him. You know, people were like fanatically protective.
Yeah,
And
right.
that
People were
sort
very
of
protective of him.
and that sort of like legacy sort of protection ended up carrying him through like the worst excesses of like sort of the modern internet, just like that loves to put down people to the point where even Kiwi is like, no, don't mess with this kid. He's fine. He's literally fine.
Yeah.
More than that, they adore him.
Yeah. I mean, it's very just as with women, you have the virgin whore dichotomy with autists, where it's like you're either the perfect autist who's like charming and just really into like Disgaea or something, but like you also have the kind who I guess is just like the most fertile lol cow like imaginable and will just be like punished and like abused like endlessly.
Yeah. And then and then the really like and then the like really like sort of and then like the really interesting like sort of like middle ground between the two, which like almost what tends to happen with them is like, you know, they tend to attract notice. They sort of maybe attract like local-ish like followings. Maybe they'll get a Kiwi thread. It dies after, you know, 10 pages or whatever. But like, you know, on the whole, like people just they just kind of have their internet friends, and they have their detractors, and that's whatever. But like those sort of like middle ground people are like producers of like some of like the most interesting creative work on all of the internet, and like I'm very glad that they're not more well known than they are, especially you know, some of the ones I know, because like, but yeah, no, it's just like a whole thing. Yeah, it's just kind of.
Yeah, I wonder where that line is. I mean, someone like Daniel Larson, who I think people like and think he's cool and don't feel compelled to bully him as much, right? Or I don't I'm not a huge fan of him, but I know he's kind of like a TikTok famous, autist or whatever. Versus like, I don't know, that guy who got like ran off of TikTok for doing that cringy SNL sketch or like plea to be on SNL or something. There is this kind of weird like we love Daniel Larson. He's so odd and like also this guy is so cringe and embarrassing and I'm gonna show up to his work and record him or whatever. And I think the space still exists for both sides and I don't know. People are definitely pretty brutal and it's hard to be online and
Yeah, the
but
weird thing is that it's gone so much more mainstream with stuff like TikTok or whatever, and like
yeah.
people just like, yeah, like that guy who I also don't know his name, but the one who was appealing to SNL, making those really bad like Hamilton style raps. I mean, even with that, it's like Hamilton is awful. Hamilton's so bad, and it's like this guy's
right?
like no worse. It's like why is like
No.
Julian, whatever Miranda, that guy, why is he not, you know, on suicide watch over being cyberbullied, which he should be, you know,
Yeah.
like, or you know, he shouldn't be, but he shouldn't have like a like whatever. Anyway, my point is like, why is like this guy is like the same as that? Like, why is he not like getting a Broadway musical? Like sometimes it actually feels totally arbitrary. I'll give you a hint. It's because he's white. But
Is Lin-Manuel Miranda white? I don't think he is.
no. I mean the other guy. I'm kind of making a joke, but
oh yeah, it's the great replacement, right?
yeah, it's a great replace. That yeah, that was the joke. No, but like,
I'll be
I
right
mean,
back. I'm bleeding. I just gave myself my estrogen shot and a lot of blood's coming. Be right
Nice.
back.
okay, good luck. Yeah, no, it's like I mean, like that guy, like I do feel bad for him. I mean that content was really bad, and it was really like enjoyable to like watch how bad it was. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's tough because I think I mean, at least everyone on this show, obviously, like everyone here right now, loves cringe content.
Mhm.
I don't personally like bullying people usually unless they seem like truly like evil about it or something. But like it's gone totally mainstream to like just rip into people, which is really weird because it's like
Sure.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I see that all the time. I spend several hours a day on TikTok, and it's like someone will just stitch another TikTok and just be like, ripping and it's just like normie kids doing this, just kind of like doing kind of like a burn on each other and it getting like, a million views or whatever. It's so weird, and I'm not immune to it. I like watching it. I
mean, that's
can't
just
help
funny.
it.
I mean, also a lot of it is obviously not like that bad. It's just like whatever, like an internet joke. No one's getting really harassed about it.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean that's just really funny. I mean, part of what's funny is just that it went so mainstream that it is literally like normie kids doing it. But
Sure, yeah. But
like I love seeing bros like doing duets with each other where they're like I don't know, like face humping their like friend in the other duet frame or something, and calling them a fan. I'm like, this is awesome. I love to see this.
yeah. But yeah, TikTok's weird. I've seen the most. I used to follow this lady who ran like a little farm, and she was very wholesome, and she had all these cute animals, and she just made really cute, wholesome TikToks, and people would bully her in the comments for no reason. And she had some plank, like some wooden plank in the back of her video that said like free pallets, and someone was like, free Palestine, how could you, blah blah blah, and she's like, what are you guys talking about? She doesn't even make videos anymore. She got like ran off of TikTok because she couldn't take just like the kind of hate that comes regardless of what your content is, and regardless, but once you get to a certain level of popularity, you just kind of get trolls regardless. And I think they kind of just test people to see like who's gonna respond, right? And
Oh,
some
yeah.
people just can't be online in a large scale period
I mean,
because
those
it's
are the
just
smart ones, right? Because they're like
sure.
just getting trolled, and that's like Chris like never logged off. Which you
Hmm.
can say what you want. There's a lot of bad things you can say about Chris, but Chris never logged off.
Mm-mm. You're not gonna
Never
run
logged.
that. Not gonna
I
run
know a
him
lot of
offline.
cowards who've logged off. You are not going to run Chris offline.
No, you'll have to lock him in jail.
Yeah, literally. Literally. That's the only way. That's the only way. So, yeah, I mean, that's the other funny thing is it's like I actually don't feel particularly bad for people who get run offline because like all these platforms suck anyway.
Yeah.
But like you know, if you were smart enough to be like, damn, I should probably be like, I don't know, like working like doing anything else. Not that anything else that you would do in like normal life is particularly good, but it's probably better than doing TikTok. But at the same time, there's a perverse part of me which I'm like kind of joking, but there really is a perverse part of me that like kind of like loves Chris for like yeah for what Robert says in the chat for being a true soldier for like literally not logging off is so fucking like insanely based. Obviously
Yeah.
it's terrible and it's like I think if they had any like sense of what was good for them they would like just log off, but it's amazing. There's something that I have like a weird type of respect when I see like the video responses to absolutely every troll. There's like some part of me that's like perversely like this is fucking amazing.
There's also
Godspeed.
right.
Yeah.
There's also a thing, right, where if you are like human beings kind of need a support network, right,
Mhm.
in order to be like flourishing and growing. Um, if Chris logged off, then she would have nobody, right?
Yeah,
True,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like her life would be this complete, and that might kill her at this point. I think.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's one of those chicken and egg things where it's like I feel like you know if she logged off given like nothing else like in her life being different somehow I feel like it would be really bad. At the same time obviously if she had more self-awareness and was like more capable of I guess like being a functional person, then you know she might realize that, and at the same time be more capable of fostering in real life relationships. So it's like one of those things where it's like, well, you know, how could you have her log off? Like she'd have to be a different person, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but I know what you mean, and yeah, like it's like it wouldn't necessarily be good for her proper.
yeah.
It's too late now.
She's
Yeah.
literally like the only person who can confirm beyond a shadow of a doubt that she is being gang stalked.
Oh.
Yeah.
She
Um,
is actually being gangsta.
Like she's like it like I don't know, it's like Christine Weston Chandler is basically kind of like she's basically like Adam before they made Eve, but there's like 100 gods.
Jesus
And
Christ.
and the Garden of Eden is just Northern Virginia, as it should be.
Yeah.
Oh no!
That's what that. Wait, is this just the Mormon Bible right now?
No, she's like, I mean, it's like,
I don't know what it is with Northern Virginia. It just keeps producing these kinds of people. It's just
Northern Virginia.
It's because
Northern Virginia,
it's literally because
and none of them
everybody
can
like
drive, and that's why every time you go through it, there's a car crash.
it's basically because like the majority of the people who live in Northern Virginia's job is to like psyop and mindfuck people, and they just take their work home with them, or they just like bully their subordinates into doing it to their kids on accident.
Right.
Yeah, they
So,
should.
hold on. It's
Yeah.
right because you have like Arlington, right, and then you have like
And you have Langley, and you've got yeah,
and then you have just like Appalachia.
yeah,
Right?
They should float the whole like Northern Virginia region like out to sea, like
Yeah.
just like lift the like.
or even just Virginia, period. Like, pretty
And
much
Maryland.
everyone I meet from Virginia
Maryland.
is like exceptionally fucked up.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
DMV area should just be lifted up and like placed in the middle of the Atlantic.
that'd be cool. Actually, that would be like a really good premise for like a battle royale game.
Right,
yeah,
like,
you're.
Escape from
It's
New
6
York, but
million.
it's Escape from Virginia.
Yeah. But to
Escape from Virginia.
so like I wanted to go back the thing like the tangent that I wanted to go on IRT Bob a while back was I've been doing like a lot of reading about the prevalence of like gifted child programs and the biographies of like sort of like criminally sus people. It's sort of like it started off like reading this like thread that my friend Jimmy did about this guy named Jack Sarfati, who is a sort of like hippie quantum physicist who claims to have gotten like a phone call from a UFO when he was 15 years old that said that he was like one of 400 individuals that are going to help shape like the future of humanity. Um, but so he he's a kid from Brooklyn with a Jewish background. Oh wait, no, he was Italian, but he's a gifted kid from Brooklyn, like Jeffrey Epstein was, and they were both enrolled in gifted children programs when they were in high school.
Gifted children. You know, a lot of Jeffrey Epstein's friends were gifted children.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, okay. So
shout out to Rory.
So like a lot of the gifted children programs in on the East Coast were sort of given a helping hand by this guy named Walter Breen, who is a sort of like very what's the word I'm looking for here? What's that word when you're like when you do stuff a lot and like really well? It starts with a P. It's like
Polymath?
yeah, he was a polymath, but he was also he was a polymath pedophile. He was one of the leading like numismatics matists in like the United
Nerd.
States. One of his favorite expressions was incest is nicest spelled on its side, which is why in his later years
What does that mean?
his children
Hold on, that just blew my fucking mind.
which
Because
is
he's right.
which is why in later years both of his children sued him for aggravated sexual assault of a minor. But so this guy was put into all of these like weird
Wait,
and
can you
fucked up
explain that joke to me?
incest and
Rearrange the
nicest.
letters to nicest.
Okay, all right.
But so basically like that. So this guy like interacted with like a lot of sus people. Jack Sarfati maybe interacted with Jeffrey Epstein. And also like Yuri Geller and Ira Einhorn, the Unicorn Killer, were also like in gifted children's programs. It's like this weird thing where if you were going to be like a little bit of like a conspiracy theorist, you could make this case that like gifted children programs could maybe be used as a place to like groom future abusers in like a large scale like network of like systematic child abuse because so many people involved in gifted children programs have gone on to do that. But I guess like the reason why I was thinking, oh, and also like Whitley Strieber, the guy who wrote Communion and Pain, and is sort of just like a very sus like new age ufology guy, also was in a gifted children program that he has like recovered memories from of sort of undergoing sort of like weird MK Ultra style like punishments as part of it. But it kind of like I don't know. It seems like it's like I feel like a running theme on the show has basically been that like the internet has kind of become its own like wilderness of mirrors, and that like everybody's basically just like MK Ultra-ing themselves on accident all the time just by being on like social media. And it sort of seemed like maybe Bob was potentially trying to make his own like gifted children program for himself in his basement.
Yeah, and I guess even more directly relevant to that, one of his big ambitions when I was with him, and like I clearly for a couple years before, if we're going by like website archives, was he wanted to like get like $1 billion to produce like what he termed his edu game.
Wow.
Just like a huge AAA like educational video game that to replace like traditional schooling with. And he viewed Bob's game as kind of like a stepping stone to that in some sense.
So hold on, I have a question. So I was trying to figure out what happened with Bob's game, especially after I read so much of the story behind Bob's game. Is it true that like it eventually came out, and despite everything he fucking wrote in that story, it was just Tetris?
Okay,
Wow.
a bit more complicated than that. Okay. So, if I'm going to explain the history of Bob's game, like from a code-based POV,
Okay.
let's just keep it brief. The first code base he wrote was for the GBA. When the DS came out, he immediately scrambled to port it over.
Wow.
That was the one that he announced he did his infamous, by now infamous, 90-day protest over. He tried continuing to solicit publishers and stuff for like another year, but by like 2010, 2011, or 2009 even, he like figured out that, okay, I'm not going to be getting like big name support for this. So he rewrote the engine to use C and SDL, and I think he was like targeting the PSP or something then. And he worked on that version for a little while. Then in 2013, as sort of his situation was starting to deteriorate, and he announced a couple of other ill-fated ventures, like his putative Nintendo handheld competitor called the ND. He decided to rewrite the code base again.
Sure.
With this time with implementing some sort of MMORPG element to it, like sort of like massively multiplayer, like online support. So he wrote that code base in Java, which transpiled to C++
Wait,
for the release binaries.
did he write a transpiler?
He didn't write. I don't think he wrote the transpiler, but
Why the fuck would you? If
I
you're
don't know. This is
transpiling to C++, why would the thing you transpile to C++ be Java?
he always
It's
had
also
this.
major nerd shit right now.
He always
Yeah.
had this. He had this like reverence for Java as like the. It's like, wow, this is such a good language. Some was like from the future, man. You know, just
you're doxing him as a manager circa 1999.
Yeah, they wrote the mythical man month about him.
Okay.
It's a joke that
I get.
like 2% of our audience is about to get.
All right. So, are there any? Oh, sorry.
But to continue, after his sort of stint with homelessness in 2014 in the Kickstarter, he worked on that code base for a further like 2 years, stripped out the RPG stuff when he figured out that he couldn't possibly like fill out the content for that. And then that was the game that ended up getting released as Bob's game on Steam. Was just sort of the collection of because originally like Bob's game was going to have this sort of like structure, this like story arc of like you're this kid in like a normal suburban town, and you're just sort of trying to like piece together so that you can go face off in like some massive like video game tournament, and the tournament games were like all the puzzle game stuff that ended up later actually getting released. So that game got released on Steam in 2016. A couple years later, I think 2019, 2020, it got delisted. The Steam listing got renamed to OK, and the thumbnail for the game changed from whatever it was before to a huge still of Bob's face. And it is the most fucked up looking thing. I will cap it later if any of you want to see. But it is just the most absurd thing. But yeah, no. And then
Mhm.
And then much later, like within the past couple months actually, he made a GitHub account, or he took one of his old ones out of cold storage, and he uploaded all of the code for version 2 of Bob's game, which is the CSDL thing I mentioned, and the C++ Java transpiler thing, transpiled version of the game, along with the level editor and a whole bunch of other stuff. And that's all on GitHub, all under no license terms, all under very cryptic readmes, and all under the title OK, or variations thereof. It
You
is.
know what that means, right?
Hmm.
It's time to port it to Rust.
Oh yeah, this needs to be rewritten in Rust.
Let's baby
for ARM.
For ARM. That's right. That's amazing. I love calling it okay. I want to read. I don't really know what the context of this unbelievably long page that you guys shared is, but this is from Bob. And do you mind if I read a couple lines from it?
Certainly.
So this
Take your pick.
This is right at the 80% mark. There's only one direction, death or God. Either die now or die slowly or live and become God. Running or facing, fight or flight. Each conversation is a battle for control, a battle for will, sumo. Slip in digs, little negative stabs, stab them in the heart, stay on top by shooting them in the heart. Their head gets bigger and bigger, big ego, then blow up their ego and they're your slave. Ziggurat, green eyes all around. Money makes all society corrupt. The police in Seattle said it's a beast, isn't it, about Microsoft? They're true adults and they're adult children. The adult children are like withered bushes. There is something wrong with them. They will confront you and attack you, desperate to hack in, desperate to find a way because they can't help it. They're insecure. You have hacked in their heart, a massive gaping insecurity in their hole in their mind. Jesus was a genius, etc.
Related to this, he had this habit when I was living with him.
This is like maybe the biggest single page I've ever seen.
When I was living with him, right, he had he had this like habit that he would do. Where, he had a speaker set up upstairs, right, for his computer and stuff. So he would play Kate Bush running up that hill for hours on repeat, 2 a.m. And he always explained the song as like an it's about becoming God. And he would also do this, with Over the Period from DDR, and it was like,
wow.
what in the good gosh darn? And other personal eccentricities, right? I would be in the basement, he would come down, and he's a Zoomer. Yeah, hold that thought. You have no idea how true the thing you just said is. So he would come down into the basement. I'd just be on my laptop doing whatever. He'd he'd come up behind me. He would just kind of tap me on the shoulder, and he'd just be like, "Do you know the way?"
Wow.
And this was back when like the Ugandan Knuckles thing was like sort of new and current.
Yes.
Oh wow.
And he would just and then he would just chant it like, "Do you know the way? Do you know the way? Do you know the way?" And
then
it was like
flick his tongue at you.
Not even a song, just like chant, like it was like some ritual for him.
That's like me hanging out with Lawwood Snake IRL and just saying they're putting sex in Among Us over and over again, approximately 8 months after it stopped being funny to everybody else.
Yep.
I keep seeing like Among Us like everywhere. It's really brain destroying.
It's awesome. There
rocks. Wait, so I wanted to touch on one more thing before we ended. I found the thread that I was riffing off of earlier. Could I read through it really quick because this is like very interesting.
Sure.
And then maybe we'll have like closing remarks. But so this is all from Jimmy Fallon Gong on Twitter, friend of the stream. To understand Epstein, you need to know the story of Jack Sarfati, John H. Bowen, and Whitley Strieber. Knowing their stories teaches us that Epstein wasn't just a blackmail operation, though he certainly was also that. There's a much darker secret. Sarfati is best known as a popularizer of quantum mechanics and perhaps also an academic interested in UFOs. To people interested in parapolitics, he was also involved in the Stanford Research Institute, Stargate, and Andrea Buharic's The Nine. Sarfati was a boy genius and was offered a full-ride scholarship to Columbia University. Sarfati was also in the Civil Air Patrol, like Chuck Rogers, David Ferrie, and Lee Harvey Oswald. Although, to be fair, he was in the CAP in a different state at a different time, so that's probably meaningless, right? After he got the scholarship, but before he went to Columbia, Sarfati received a telephone call from a UFO telling him he was one of 400 young, bright, receptive minds. At Columbia, Sarfati joined an after-school program led by Walter Breen. Breen was a coin expert, a science fiction author, Mensa dork, founder of NAMBLA, and an all-around child abuser. And if you've ever seen a photo of this guy, he basically looks like, besides Stavros Halkias, like the photo of a person in a dictionary next to the definition for pedophilia. Or pedophile, I guess. Breen had happened to be married to Marion Zimmer Bradley, popular young adult fantasy author who was posthumously accused of CSA and rape by her children and for enabling her husband at the time, who was an admitted pedophile, to do the same. If you were ever into fantasy in middle school, she wrote the book The Mists of Avalon. Marion Zimmer Bradley and Walter Breen are both ordained priests in the Eastern Orthodox Church, meaning they have the same line of apostolic succession as David Ferrie, a wandering bishop, pedophile, JFK assassination conspirator, and CAP veteran. At the time, Breen was working for Sandia National Laboratories, Lockheed Martin and Honeywell subsidiary. What did John Benet Ramsey's dad do for a living again? To do parapsychological research studies of New York City gifted children.
Good
Epstein,
God. Wait, really? I didn't know that.
Epstein was a New York City gifted child, as was Sarfati. Being from Brooklyn, Breen being in charge of a group of precocious super kids trying to unlock psychic powers might sound like a fox in charge of the hen house, or it just might be the point. As we all know, Epstein went to Interlaken as a kid, donated to it as an adult, and famously had a private cabin near the junior girls' camp. The likelihood that he was groomed there himself is pretty high. Epstein was brought in to teach at the Dalton School by Donald Barr, OSS, father of former Attorney General William Barr, finding himself in a unique position to groom and assault, much like Breen did. Sarfati is the key to understanding that he and Epstein were probably part of ongoing studies on gifted children that also seem to groom them. It strains credulity that pedophiles keep being given elite access to gifted children on accident. Next, Lee Harvey Oswald famously went to Mexico in 1963 before the assassination, and people who talk about the assassination love to repeat the phrase, and nobody knows why. It's a phrase that always comes up, re Oswald's time in Mexico. According to the Warren Commission and FBI, Oswald took a bus trip, and on the bus, he spoke with a man named John Howard Bowen. The name turns up in countless FBI and CIA documents. The FBI's director, J. Edgar Hoover, sent memos bearing his name. Bowen was a British Baptist preacher and devoted Nazi who ran a fascist boys' camp in Tennessee. He lost his job as executive director after being accused of making sexual advances on young boys. Bowen's sect? He was a minister of the Plymouth Brethren, which was the same sect of Christians that Aleister Crowley's parents belonged to. That's probably just a weird coincidence, though, right? Bowen got on the Fed's radar when Mario El Turco Zapat and Alfredo Cervantes took a private contract to assassinate Jake Flores, a district judge in Alice, Texas. They accidentally killed the wrong person and were caught. According to the Assistant Attorney General Bill Alcorn, he had been given information from an unknown conspirator thought to be Bowen, stating a unit of between 25 and 30 professional assassins being kept in Mexico by the espionage section of the FBI. He alleged that this group had been used to commit political assassinations all over North, South, and Central America, the Eastern European countries, and in Russia for 25 years. These hitmen were supposedly the absolute world's most accurate riflemen. As the story goes, they sometimes took private contracts to kill in the United States. The contact for anyone who wanted to employ these riflemen was a man named Bowen. That's who Oswald was visiting in Mexico, as per the Warren Commission. In the words of Peter Levenda, a Mexican school for assassination, the recruitment of young boys, Nazis, the Christian right, 1963, whatever the fuck was going on in the Civil Air Patrol. We're almost done, I promise. We all know, we all know
This,
about.
this is like me when I'm forcing you guys to watch more of those videos about fighter jets you can own for under $20,000.
Oh yeah.
Another episode of Upote.
Um, oh yeah, which reminds me, Yuri Geller, one of the other guys who claims to have been contacted by the God Fund, besides Jack Sarfati,
Jack
basically owns like a private island off the coast of Scotland. So he basically has his own mother base. We all know about about Operation Paperclip, but not everyone knows that it wasn't just NASA. They scooped up all kinds of Nazis, including the ones that did human experimentation. That team was resettled at Randolph Air Force Base. Whitley Strieber lived near Randolph Air Force Base when he was a child and remembers childhood visits to a secret school. Famously, he later goes on to write Communion and speculates on the nature of those experiences. Was Strieber remembering traumatic childhood events involving these Nazis, still testing on humans? Is that the true nature of alien abductions? IDK, LOL. Anyway, remember the Finders Cole? Where were they taking those children again? You guessed it. A school for very bright children in Mexico. A theme that's becoming familiar. Pick completely unrelated. You can't see the pick. Final note, a noted psychotherapist expert on hypnosis, Corydon Hammond, has also insisted that a satanic cult exists in America. He suggests that it was begun by Nazi emigres after the war and that this cult abuses and even sacrifices children as part of its ritual. Yeah.
Damn.
That was something.
Yeah.
I have some funny stuff to tell you guys about off stream with this that I'll tell you about later. But point is it wasn't nearly that dramatic, but it was just kind of corny and funny as far as like I just don't want to tell it because I don't want to self-dox, but funny programs like this, more just about how funny the naming is. Yeah, that's I like to I feel like it's always a little bit sketchy to, I guess, think about like these types of like early pre-professional training type programs. I mean, we talked with Sad Gatto about the CIA grooming thing where they like basically took him to DC for the summer and stuff. And I don't know, stuff like that. It's always, it's funny to me, like the extent to which there's like some amount of this that's just like public and accepted. And I don't know, I can't comment really. I'm not at all an expert on it, but like this stuff is just funny. Like even the stuff that is just public, like like come to the CIA grooming camp in high school. You've been recommended as someone who's intelligent with flexible morals.
Yeah.
That's just like really funny that's like the stuff we see publicly. So I don't know.
I mean, it's also just like the Sad Gatto's whole thing is just like funny in light of like how it seems like every single mass shooter was like had like some degree of like observation by like the FBI. And then I guess there's just like some kids who the FBI is basically just like, would you like to help run like a counterterrorism program, like in Virginia, like with us?
Yeah. No, pretty much. I mean, the joke about Isabella already Jakey falling out the guard tower, that's definitely where she actually belongs in the current season. She would love it. R.I.P. Isabella already Jakey. You would have loved Guantanamo Bay.
Is she dead?
No.
Damn.
You wish.
Good. I still have a chance.
Damn. All right. Anybody got any closing remarks before we log off?
I'm just excited to see what happens tomorrow. I mean, that is just a grand jury. They're basically going to rubber stamp, going to trial or whatever. But so they'll get indicted, and then they'll set a date for trial. And then it'll just see what will happen from there. Either Chris will plead guilty or innocent. I think obviously his defense will probably push him to plead guilty, but he's kind of stubborn, how he is or she is, and so I think she might want to plead innocent, or there will be some sort of contention there. I was just reading right here, real quick, while you guys, while you were reciting that beautiful piece, that Because of the two-party consent law regarding recording an individual without their knowledge, that the recording of Chris admitting that
Right.
she slept with his mom cannot be admissible in court.
Well,
So
Right.
there must be some other evidence, rape kit or otherwise, some of the letters they sent, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Casey Anthony got off, and so, you know, maybe Chris has a chance, you know.
yeah, what's she
Yeah.
up to?
Partying in Florida. I see TikToks going viral of her every once in a while at clubs.
Damn.
Yeah, she's living it up.
Wow.
Speaking
love to
of
see
women,
it.
we have a chance with. Yeah, no, that's I'm very interested to see what happens. I feel like it would be an absolute nightmare being like Chris's lawyers, because you would just be like okay, you gotta. I mean, like, it is funny like how like cooperative she was when she was arrested, but like I just imagine having zero confidence that like because like already when you're a lawyer, like the typical thing that lawyers expect is like, I'm going to tell my client this thing. They're going to have a picture in their head of like what a logical person would want to hear. And they're going to want, like, unless they're like a PMC soulless person who like, you know, went to all the right colleges and like grew up like having like no personality and like knows to just listen to your lawyer. Any normal person is going to be like, my lawyer is telling me this, but like surely any human hearing my case, right, would like.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always this temptation to not listen to your lawyer. But with Chris, it's like that anxiety, I'm sure, times like 10,000. Like,
Yeah.
she's just gonna get up there and be like, "No, not guilty," and like, or like, I don't know what they're actually gonna like. But yeah, that seems terrible. I mean, I'm interested in what happens. In the end, regardless of how many terrible, either slightly shitty or terrible things she does, I definitely have more sympathy for her, just given how absolutely terrible the trolls are. I hope
Mm-hmm.
nothing bad happens. I am interested to see what happens with all this.
Yeah, we'll have a court date, and then, you know, some of this stuff will go public, and then, you know, we can have another chat when we see her future.
Yeah. Thank you. By the way, again, like Leatherface and like Allison for like catching us up on this stuff.
For real.
This was
Great.
a very fun episode for me.
Thank
I know,
you.
I'm super stoked. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, or are we ready to wrap it up?
There, but for the grace of God, thank you
Yeah.
and good night.
Yes, thank you, God.
Good night. Good night, all.
Hey, thank you.
Right.
All right, stream